Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Caccera, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Caccera.
Welcome in, Joe Caccera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you for those that are following us on the live feed on Facebook. We appreciate that very much. We continue to grow the audience that way with social media, and we want to add as many listeners, followers as we can, of course, and provide this valuable information to as many consumers as possible. So again, we welcome those in, and thank you for tracking us here and watching us on Facebook. Just to stay consistent, we really try to do the shows on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays right about 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time for basically the convenience of the people that are following us on Facebook. However, we'd love to have you download the podcast. That's what this is, and this is really it gets distributed to thousands and thousands of people each month. So a couple different ways you could get that. You go to iTunes, Stitcher, Google+, all the different places on the web. Just type in Real Estate Radio Live. You get the podcast that way, or you can go to our website at RERL-1566-Accessing. That's RERL-1566-Accessing. Most of you know that the show, almost 8 years now, the focus has been education and information, and I work really hard to have great guests like today, content information to pass on to you, the consumer. And really the objective has been the same since day one, and that is to provide you with more and more education information to make you a more wise consumer when it comes to your real estate transactions, where you're buying, selling, financing, building, accessing money, equity. What kinds of things do you do with your home and real estate in general? And we're going to try to continue to do that. All right, I'm going to welcome in my guests today. You guys have probably heard, those that follow the show, a little bit about some of the programs. We have an announcement. We'll get more into detail today, but in the next several weeks, we're going to have an exciting partnership here with Steve Hotovec and Mark Rogers with Barastone, LLC, and we're going to be talking a lot about accessing home wealth without debt. That's right, accessing home wealth without debt. And I'm excited, super excited about this, because in a market that's changing and there's so much equity in people's homes, and there's only a limited amount of things you could do with the rates going up and people wanting to access money from their properties. There's some solutions that are coming to the marketplace that we're really excited about, and we're going to talk about that today. So welcome in, guys. Good to have you back.
Thanks, Joe. Always good to see you.
It's about, 3 years ago or so? When we
Three or four.
3 or 4 years ago. So let me do that, too, before we get started. Is Steve and Mark were on the show for quite some time. It was about 3 or 4 years ago when they launched the product. And like anything else, when something's new and innovative, you have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what you're doing and get all the back-end stuff done right. So these guys have been working hard for the last several years and now excited to get out in the public and offer this. So good to have you guys back.
Great. Thanks.
We'll be regular visitors here for a while going forward. So good.
We may be a little rough today, but it'll get smoother as we go.
That's all right. That's all right. Good to have you guys. So I think the best way to get started, if each of you guys could maybe introduce yourself first, a little bit about your background, just a minute or so, and then give the listeners kind of a history of what you've been going through, kind of the collective work you've been doing, and then really an idea of the wealth solution product you guys are talking about here today.
Sure. My name's Steve Hotovec. I'm a president of Barastone. My background is heavily in securities and institutional investments. About 4 years ago, my business partner, Mark, and myself actually identified an opportunity within the home wealth market to basically create a win-win situation. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but my core competency is in finance, and as we develop this product, we're always looking for both investment opportunities and trends where you can create either liquidity or opportunity and actually add social good or value. So that's a little bit about our real brief background.
That's
but
good.
We'll get to the good stuff.
Thanks. Mark?
And my name's Mark Rogers, one of the co-founders of Barastone. We started this endeavor about 4 years ago. Come from the investment world where we manage investments for both investors and clients, and realized that in most instances, clients came to us with their financial assets, and we could only deal with their stocks and bonds and cash, which ultimately ended up only maybe 20% of their overall wealth, and no one was focusing on their home wealth. And so we endeavored to create products and be able to help homeowners manage that home wealth.
Perfect. So why don't we talk a little bit about the Home Wealth Solution, the product or the program, I should say, a kind of an overview in general. And then I want to get into kind of the different uses for it, what the market, why the market is such pointing in this direction. We'll kind of go through that process.
So maybe what I'll do is I'll just give a global macro or a macro view, and Mark can walk into maybe how the solution works. So if you look at over, 3-4 years ago, home wealth in the United States, there was approximately $13 trillion of what we call trapped equity. Today it's $15 trillion, wow. So we've gone up $2 trillion in a problem. And you say, well, what's the problem? You have more wealth. Well, there's really three key drivers. Number one, most homeowners are what we call house rich but cash poor. Right. And as Mark had referenced, most homeowners have anywhere from 60 to 70% of their net worth tied inside the home. Right. Second problem is home wealth is an illiquid, it's a non-financial asset, which means that you can't take your home or the wealth accumulated in your home and go down and buy a loaf of bread. Right. Probably the third, and it's a demographic shift, is that increasingly real estate prices have gone like this. Wages maybe have gone like this. So there's a disproportionate. It's that problem if it might have been 60 or 70% wealth concentration, it's 70 or 80. Okay. So as you're either pre-retirement or retirees in this country, and in California in specific, need to find a way to convert accumulated home wealth into diversification or into diversified investments and income generation. Right. So maybe from there I'll leave it off to Mark, but you basically look in the conventional world, what are your options? Right. Right. Right.
Perfect.
So in the conventional world right now, your options are to get a home equity loan, which includes qualifying monthly payments, and a lot of homeowners at this point in their life can't qualify because of their reduced income or have other issues of paying monthly payments. The other is a reverse mortgage, which has its inherent issues, and it's a fixed liability for the homeowner. We look at it in this general category we call structured real estate transactions. These are transactions that allow homeowners to get up to usually about 20% of their home equity without taking on debt. There's no monthly payments. It's not a loan. It's not a reverse mortgage. And in general, homeowners agree to share in the future appreciation of the home or depreciation of the home, whichever happens.
Yeah. And there is, there's a number of different reasons why the timing's so good here. They've talked about the equity and the growth in equity and all this tied up or locked up in your properties. But at the same time, we're coming off, you guys, some record interest rates, low interest rates, I should say. Everybody was super excited, right? But as interest rates go up and we're in an interest rate rising environment, you've heard me talk about that before. So what happens is, if you're a consumer out there listening to this show or again, pass this information on to friends, family members, coworkers. What ways do you have to access income from your home? What ways do you have equity? And Mark just talked about it. You get a home equity line, reverse mortgage. Again, you have to qualify for the home equity line. Most people, especially if you're older, if you're trying to reduce the amount of debt and your monthly liabilities, that's not a good way to go because you're going to increase that in that way.
Yeah, so the SRETs, or structured real estate transactions, are equity-based solutions. Right. So they are referred in different names, and they've been around for about 10 years. Okay. But they're really coming mainstream now, just like anything else, the advent of technology. And equity-based solutions really bring to the homeowner, for the first time, a balance in capital structure. So if you look at the other capital markets, venture capital, companies that have access to debt or equity, in the homeowner's equation, all the equity and all the risk has always been on the homeowner. And this basically allows some flexibility and some options that can be combined with debt so that people do not get over-leveraged. So people can access that home wealth without taking on additional burden of debt. So there are several use cases and scenarios, but we're really about educating people of what these products are and what they are not,
right,
where they can be used, and to make safe strategies on managing what's usually people's largest asset.
I mean, one of the things I want to mention is that one of the things I think that is the best advantage of this program is that when you look at a versus a reverse mortgage are very restrictive in the sense you have to be a certain age and the loan to value, and there's a lot of factors that go into reverse mortgages, and they're pretty costly too, by the way, and you're really just adding to the principal of what you're borrowing. But this, you guys, if I'm not mistaken, there's really no age requirements. Of course, probably 21 or whatever. You have to own a home. But
18.
Yeah, 18. But there's no requirements for age, if I'm not mistaken. And, of course, you said roughly 20% of the value of the home. So you could access this money. And then, if I'm not mistaken, too, you can use this money for anything you want. Is that correct?
Sure. The age is 18, so there's no restrictions on age. And the qualification process is very simple. There are programs out there that is solely based on the amount of equity.
Okay.
So if you have a lot of equity in your home, you qualify.
Okay. Your
credit score, and a lot of times homeowners are trying to solve credit issues where their credit score may be impacted.
Right.
Well, we're trying to help them with that, so they shouldn't be penalized for a low credit score or if their income isn't sufficient. These programs get them capital, and they can use it to supplement their income.
Right. Very good. So we're going to continue talking about this as we go through it, though. If there's anyone listening to, obviously, if you're listening to or watching us on Facebook or later on, most of you will be downloading and listening to this via podcast, go to the website bundleselect.com. That's bundleselect.com, and there's a contact form there. Just go to the contact form, fill out some basic information, tell us a little bit about. All we really need is a name, phone number, email, and just reference the solution here we're talking about today, and we'll have someone reach out to talk to you. This is an education. It's a process. We're really excited about getting this out, and you're going to hear more and more about it, believe me, over the next couple months and the next couple of years. So, again, for those that are interested and you want to know more about it, maybe you just want to talk to Steve or Mark a little bit more about it and find out if you qualify, what it's about, just more parameters around it. Go to bundleselect.com. Just go to the contact form, fill out the basic information, and one of them will contact you and give you some more information from there. So what types of things are you seeing in your experience? Let's talk about the ways people are using the money now and some of the reasons they're getting it, you guys. Can you give us some examples of what you've seen? You've been doing this for a while now.
Sure. You get a full spectrum.
Okay.
So similar to mortgages, even though it's not a loan and not a mortgage,
sure,
not a reverse mortgage, there are different programs to match different needs. Example, credit repair. Credit repair might be a situation where you have to get your debt to income or your income level up because you have too much debt. This can be used as an equity solution. 2 years, 3 years, they actually buy the contract back.
Okay.
And just to be really clear, the way that these work is they could be 10 years, 15, 20, even up to 30 years.
Wow.
So a credit repair solution might be a good 10-year option where they're going to refinance out it. Okay. They might be planning on fixing their home but not sure if they're moving or staying. And then you can go to retirement on the outside end of the spectrum. But things such as paying for college or they took out a loan and then they want to pay off the loan from college. So there's a broad spectrum.
Yeah, as you look at the spectrum, we have people in their 40s and 50s where the kids are going off to college, and unfortunately they haven't been able to save as much money as they wanted to. And taking out loans for college are very expensive, and this is an option that they have to fully fund the college education of their kids without taking on the burden of debt or having your kids come out of college with significant amounts of debt.
You know, a couple of things that come to mind with this program that I really love and think about, I want to share with people too, and I'm going to hear what you guys think is, you take a person who needs $200,000 or $300,000 to remodel their home or do an add-on. And a lot of people do this at one point in the time they don't have their residence, right? But knowing they're thinking, well, we're probably going to be in this house for 8 to 10 years. But you reinvest this right back into your property. So you upgrade your property, which is all good for everybody here. And then that's the first thing. And then the second thing that the city of San Jose, actually all of California is pushing, as you guys know, is accessory dwelling units, right? Boy, I tell you, that is another great opportunity. I'm doing it at my house right now. You know, access the equity to reinvest in your property. In this case, add the units, and you're just putting that money right back into your investment. So talk a little bit about those two things.
Yeah, so that's a really hot area, especially in the last couple of years in California. But if you look at it, we think of different ways to try to explain that the most valuable asset that you have is the wealth that's trapped in your home. And probably one of the most underutilized is actually the ground that it sits on. They can't make, as Mark Twain once said, buy land, they're not making it anymore. And so with an accessory dwelling unit, you're able to actually get really premium property and premium rents if you're able to develop an accessory dwelling unit, which more and more of the cities, it's really part of socially solving the housing crisis problem. And then lastly,
and they're collecting more taxes on it.
Of course. We don't have to get into that. We don't have to get into the negative stuff. But when you look at it and you say, well, that sounds great, what's this going to cost me?
Right.
Where's that money going to come from?
Right.
And so it's really, we say that you've taken care of the home. This is an opportunity for the home to now take care of you. So that's a direct use case of generating income. Moving from the growth, here you actually get almost a threefer. Right? You basically get the ability to stay in your home, number one. Number two, you get to access the wealth in your home without debt. And number three, you get to actually develop the property and now generate income without going out of pocket.
We have a woman that did the product, and she went to the bank, laid out her plan and all of that, and they would not loan her the money because she doesn't have a 2-year track record of rents. And so she was able to do our product, built an ADU, and now is enjoying the full amount of that rent. It's not encumbered by a mortgage where she would have to be paying that mortgage and net a lot less.
Yeah, very good. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, as we always do, right about halfway through for the podcast here. And then for those that are sticking with us, watching us on Facebook, just stick with us because it's going to be a quick 1-minute break, and we're going to come right back with you. This is Joe Kuchera at the Real Estate Radio Live in studio today with Steve Hotovec and Mark Rogers with Barastone LLC. We're talking about accessing home wealth without debt. This is Joe Kuchera. We'll be back with you in just a minute.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Getting ready to buy or sell a home in 30, 60, or 90 days? Check out BundleSelect.com to find out how you could save 20% or more on your entire transaction. Real estate, lending, and title. With BundleSelect.com, technology and a personal concierge are at your service to save you time and money. BundleSelect's hand-picked team of experts will compete for your business so you'll save thousands of dollars by bundling real estate, lending, and title services. BundleSelect.com gives you all the control, including using your own realtor. I'm Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live, and I have been on the radio educating consumers for years. I'm here to tell you BundleSelect.com is the best way to save money on real estate. By bundling services, you could save tens of thousands of dollars. This savings model could save you money on your move, lower your interest rate, or cover your closing costs. Visit BundleSelect.com. That's BundleSelect.com.
The estimated minimum savings are based on a comparison with the national average. Individual results may vary, and the estimated savings are not guaranteed. Bundle Select Inc. is a licensed real estate broker. California Bureau of Real Estate Broker License Number 004666902.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's topic or guests, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. We have a show today we're having a good time in studio. I'm welcoming my friends back from 3 or 4 years ago. They're back at it. We're excited about the new programs they're launching. Steve Hotovec and Mark Rogers with Barastone. And the topic and really the program is accessing home wealth without debt. Think about that. Accessing home wealth without debt. And this is a program that you're going to hear more and more about, and you're going to hear more and more on our show. And we're excited about it because most of you have been following the show. You know me. When I present information to you, give you product solutions, ideas, it's because I really think it's going to add some value to your life and some benefits that could be a game changer in some cases. And this is a game changer to me, you guys. I mean, this is something that people could use their wealth and their property and manage those assets and use that money for things that they could never do before. And so there's a lot of different things that go into this. So talk a little bit about, let's say someone's interested And again, as we do that, if you are interested, if you want more information, go to bundleselect.com. That's bundleselect.com. And then just fill out the contact form. We make it real simple. And you talk to Mark or Steve, and they give you some information. It's really a consultation and a conversation, right? I mean, that's how it all starts.
It does, Joe.
Okay.
It's an education process. You had mentioned, that this is a relatively new asset class. I mentioned earlier that it's 10 years or so that these have been around, and there's probably, near as we can tell, there's maybe 500 million or so of these structured real estate transactions that have transpired. But there's newer innovations. There's different durations, so they could be 10-year, they could be 20, they could be 30, not unlike a mortgage.
Right.
And one of the things, and I'll let Mark talk a little bit about basically how we work and engage. The first thing is people say, what is it?
Yeah.
And then we describe what it's not, because anyone that's been, if they're not used to investments or other things, they're like, what do you mean? I either take out a loan, some sort of a reverse mortgage.
It's a different way of thinking.
Therefore, the qualification process around this has got to be the same, right? And we explain that this is an equity-based solution, so the number one most important component is that you have equity. Now, if you do not have equity or at an acceptable level, it is possible you may not qualify at all. Now, on the other hand, you may have equity, you may have a fully paid for home, you may have a fantastic credit score and have good debt to income, which means the entire spectrum of solutions or products might be available for you. You might be able to combine an equity solution with a loan. So you basically, if you had a $200,000 HELOC plus a $200,000 home price movement agreement or structured real estate transaction, you would have $400,000, but only having debt service on $200,000. So it allows you to really dial up how much risk and how much debt you may want to have.
I'm going to just give you an example because I love examples. So you could have a home worth, say, $2 million, and let's say someone owes $350,000 on it, and it doesn't matter. They're 45 years old. Maybe they're going to take a couple of years off and start their own business or whatever, and they just want to eliminate that debt. That's an example, right? You can come in and potentially wipe out that liability with the program, and that's just another example. I mean,
or you might have a mortgage that's really low, and you're looking at getting more money because you're going to start a business.
That's a good point.
Travel.
Very good point.
And say, I don't want to borrow more debt. I'd rather diversify.
I like that.
We have people that do not want to pay it off. We've gone through historic lows in mortgages.
That's a good point.
And most people have, mortgages 2, 3, 3.5%.
Right.
And that's cheap money.
Right.
And if you use this product to generate cash, you can actually put it in an investment that can yield more than what you're paying on your mortgage. You can use it to supplement those mortgage payments, so you'll have all of that cash in the bank for whatever use you want.
No monthly payments. No monthly payments with this program.
Exactly. No monthly payments.
Before we get into the kind of what you guys do and take us through, when you sit down with someone and talk them through the program, what is the kind of the rule of thumb with equity, so to speak? Would you say, in general, I know everything's different, but you need to have at least 50% or more, 40% or more? Is there a kind of a scale there depending on?
Well, the general rule of thumb is the more equity that you have, the greater percentage that you might be able to access.
Got it.
So, for example, if somebody had on a $1 million home a 70% or $700,000 mortgage, they're probably not going to be a candidate.
Right.
So the lower you get, you can get up to 20%. If you had a 60, you normally want to have all in somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 70%.
Okay, makes sense.
Right.
All right. Very good.
So in general, around 55% equity in the home, you're good.
Good. Well, so someone's interested, they contact you guys, you're on the phone, you're meeting them in person. Kind of take us through what you do. Obviously, there's a big educational component. You just talked about it. So tell us what that looks like.
Well, I'll start on the first half, and I'll let Mark finish up. He's more the fine, polished, detail-oriented. But these are the pieces of information that are important.
Okay.
where's your home located?
Right.
What's the address? A lot of this stuff they'll submit via form,
Right.
or they'll call us and they'll say, how much money can I get and what's this going to cost me?
Right.
So it's like, okay, what are we dealing with? So what's the address of the property? What's the home loan? So many people have a loan, and then they have a home equity line of credit.
Right.
And then the other part that's very important that may or may not be important in mortgages sometimes is what do you want to use the money for? Okay, because if it's a short-term thing, that may be a different program. If you're not sure, that's still good to know, too, of what those options may be. So basically from those pieces of information, we'll normally schedule a call, or we can email back and forth. But they'll want to know, number one, does my home qualify? Number two, how much can I get? That's the biggest question.
Sure.
How much do I get?
How much can I get?
And then what's this going to cost me? How does all this stuff work? So then I'll let Mark go through a little bit how we maybe meet and go through.
So we'll meet with the clients in person. We believe personal relationships with all the clients is essential for them to understand what we're offering and all about our product, but also for us to understand their financial situation. So we'll work with the homeowner to understand all the parameters of what we're looking at. What kind of debts do they have? Does it make sense to pay them off? Because we don't always require the homeowner to pay off their debts, but if they have credit card debt at 18 or 22%, we'll strongly suggest, if not require them to pay that off, whether or not they have a home equity loan coming due. All the factors that work around that, and what are they going to use the money for? So then we can customize a solution for them, whether it be a 10-year, 20-year product, 30-year product. What are they looking for and what do they want to do? And that allows us to really reach a solution that is customized for them that maximizes their home wealth.
Very good. So just again, we're talking today about accessing home wealth without debt, right? Accessing home wealth without debt. Think about that. It's an exciting new program. We're going to be talking about it for months to come. If you're interested, you're watching us on Facebook, or later on you're downloading and listening to the podcast, simply go to bundleselect.com. That's bundleselect.com. Go to the contact form, fill out some basic information, nothing personal information we're going to ask for, just basics. And the reason why is that Mark and Steve want to know a little bit about, and as well as you are too if you're interested, what it means, how much can you get, a lot of the particulars behind it, and that's what we want to do. And you mentioned it a couple of times, you guys, it's really an educational process because so many people, you mentioned Steve a little earlier, I think it's good to repeat that we're so used to going to the bank.
They actually give numbers, and these come out every quarter. And so these numbers are just not pulling them out of thin air. They'll look at how much equity is trapped. So and if you look at how many homes in just California have 50% or greater in equity. So that's really our target market. So if they have 50% or greater,
how many
in equity,
are there?
3 million.
Wow,
significant amount.
Wow, that's a large amount.
Yeah.
And
the three biggest questions that we get, and we're more than happy, and this is why we'll either meet with them. Some people don't necessarily want to meet with us. We can do it via phone, but they usually want to talk to an expert. We call ourselves home wealth experts, because we just deal with this product, non-debt-based liquidity solutions. Oftentimes they'll want us to talk to their accountant, their attorney. We've even done transactions where they've sent the contracts or agreements to the attorneys, and the attorneys have turned around and said, "Hey, can you do my house?"
You know what's great about what you guys do, too, and I'm thinking about this as you meet with these people, and this probably comes up, you lay out the solutions, you find out what their needs are, and you look at them as a profile, and you look at it. In some cases, you might offer them solutions that aren't this program, right? You might say, hey, listen.
Many times.
Right.
There's very few people that know this. Best thing we can be doing is grant, this is a social good. If you think of the shared economy, if you have FOMO, which is fear of missing out. If you feel like you have to get every last dollar out of the future appreciation, not the current value, because the homeowner keeps all of that. But if you have FOMO in the future, then this isn't appropriate for you. However, if you're staying up late at night because you're saddled with debt or you don't have enough cash reserves, this is a very viable solution for you. So the three biggest questions that are asked are, number one, this sounds too good to be true. Number two is, somebody's got to be gaming me somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to explain what the value proposition for the homeowner and what it is for the investor. These are not banks. These are financial institutions, but it's not a loan.
Right.
And then the last question is, do you think this makes sense for me?
Right.
And sometimes, as you said, Joe, it does not make sense. And, we've had clients where the best solution is selling the property.
Yeah.
And what we want to do is do what's best for the client.
Right. Absolutely. I had a client in my office, I think I shared with you, Steve, the other day, and this is a perfect example. And if you're listening to this, some of you, I bet you know exactly what I'm talking about. Obviously, I'm not going to use names. This lady was in her late 70s. She owns a home that's probably worth $1.2 million. She owes very little, if nothing, on it. She has no retirement, no pension, Social Security, and she's finding herself having to work part-time still just to make ends meet. And she's been a responsible person that, really has done a great job. And her other motivation now, as you guys, is she wants to help her son and daughter-in-law buy a house. So she came to me looking for, solutions, something like this, and this will probably work for her. And in this case, she needs some money to pay off the small loan she has, $125 or $150 grand, to gift to her son and daughter-in-law to buy a house. And you should have seen the smile on that woman's face to know that she could actually do that. And there would be no other way someone like that could achieve that without the equity in their home.
Absolutely.
Right?
And we had a client exactly like that, gentleman in the East Bay.
Mm-hmm.
His son was looking to move to Washington because the cost of living was less and they could afford a house. They were very distraught about that and figured the only way that they could do it was to give them the down payment for a house here. They did our product. They gave them $200,000 to put down on a house, and they bought a house probably, I think, 5 miles from the parents' house, and everyone's happy. Yeah. So it was a great solution, and the way they looked at it was, we're not giving them anything from, where we have to take out a loan or make monthly payments. We're giving them basically future appreciation if that happens, or future price movement of the home, which is going to be theirs anyway when they pass away. So it was a great solution, and it worked out wonderfully for them.
Yeah, that's great. I know you guys have mentioned several, and there could probably go on and on. There's so many different ways people could use this money.
You had last week, I think, one of your podcasts was Jack, which was an attorney, and talking about startups.
Right.
Startup businesses,
That's another good point, yeah.
When you take out a loan on a startup business, and everybody's pretty wide-eyed and optimistic, but if the business fails, so if you used equity, right, and the business ends up failing, hopefully it doesn't and it's wildly successful, you're not on the hook for really repaying. You're just going to have to share some of the future appreciation, if any. So this really allows you to de-risk or the concentration. So that would probably be on the extreme end, but we've done several of those. We've had folks that have, and many people that are self-employed.
Right.
You get that goofy, the W-2.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I'm
easy,
familiar with it.
When you get the other sources of income, banks don't necessarily like that, even though you could have a tremendously attractive balance sheet. So starting a business, expanding a business, those are common uses.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the other piece, again, for those that may have started your own business before, Steve made some good points, but the other thing I would suggest is it's a good way for you, especially when you're getting started, to keep most of the equity in that business, right? Because most people will go out and try to raise capital and give away the equity in the
that was exactly.
The equity goes better. If it goes out well, it goes a lot better than your house has ever did.
That was exactly the situation we had with a homeowner. And they were out looking for angel financing. They wanted $250,000 for the startup business. He believed the business would be 100% successful, but he had a little bit of reservation that it might not be. Yeah. So the angel investors wanted significantly over 50% of the business to give him that $250,000. He was able to do our product, and his comment to us is, in the small chance the business fails, it's not going to affect my life. Right. I don't have monthly payments. It just will be there, and when I sell the house, we'll deal with it. Yeah. But it was a very safe solution for him to fund the business. Yeah.
Before we go, we just have a couple of minutes left. Why don't you remind our listeners again, you guys, I know we talked briefly about it, but the reason why, this program is the timing for it's really, really good. We talked about rates. right? All the equity you've talked about, this appreciation that on equity to be able to access, and just another product or program for consumers to not take on debt.
Yeah, this is just an intro awareness podcast.
Yeah, right.
There are nuts and bolts and questions that people inherently have with a new asset class. So it's been I think there's always been a need for this, but there really hasn't been a technology or an evolution. So in the commercial real estate world, which obviously you're familiar with, they always had something called a tenant in common investment. It wasn't until structured real estate transactions evolved, because if some investor, look at it from both sides, these are contracts that are uniquely designed to give the protections to the investor to make sure that you're not doing something crazy on residential property, but also for the homeowner. The investor's not in your home. They're not hanging out, and they're providing much-needed liquidity in exchange for they're willing to take some risk on the upside. So it's a combination of this concentration that's gotten even higher of home wealth, as well as the evolution of contracts, technology, and just everything's advanced. So it's good to see the old guard of the world's oldest and largest asset class, which is residential real estate, finally getting a new a facelift on it. That's
good. Before we wrap things up, this right now is available on primary residence only?
No, it's available on certain areas. It's available primary residence, townhomes, condos, in some cases up to 1 to 4 units.
Yes. So
not any
a
other
rental property would be...
So right now, investment property you can or can't potentially do if you have an investment property.
We do have programs that would allow for that.
And it's
limited. All of these things will be expanding subject
case
to...
by case.
Exactly.
Case
depending
by
on
case.
the demographic, yes.
Very good. All right. Well, before we wrap up again, one more time, if you're interested, I'll tell you, I would suggest that even if you know someone, pass this along, friends, family, coworkers. If you know someone that might benefit from something like this, just have them go to bundleselect.com. Again, bundleselect.com. Just go to the contact form, fill out some simple information, and you'll be contacted with Steve or Mark, and they'll give you some additional info to go by. So this is good. It's a good way to get it kicked off, started, right?
Always a pleasure.
Thanks. Great to be back with you, Joe.
Yeah, thanks, guys. This is Joe Kuchera of the Real Estate Radio Live. Thanks again for checking in. For more information, you could always go to RERadiolive.com. Until next time, take care. Have a great afternoon.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at RERadiolive.com.